Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 16th episode of the Overanalysts podcast, bringing you commentary and news surrounding gaming as both a culture and an industry, as well as related topics from the broader fields of tech and entertainment. My name is Brady, or the Overanalyst on Twitch and associated platforms, and I'm joined as always by my good friends Martina, or Seth the Overwitch,
Hello.
and Mate, or Comrade Potato.
Ahoy.
And today we're going to be taking another deep dive into the history of one of gaming's most, I would have said famous prior to around 2017, but most notorious studios. Developer and publisher Bethesda Softworks. We're going to be taking a look at Bethesda's history, but focusing, I think, on what they have done most recently, roughly within the lifespan of the past two console generations. Because really, guys, when you think about it, starting from around the release of Elder Scrolls Oblivion in 06, that was probably their most high-profile release that introduced them to a lot of people as a household name.
Mm-hmm.
They took, right around 10 years to gain widespread acclaim and then just run all of that goodwill aground overnight.
Oh yeah, that they basically just, used the good name as toilet paper.
Exactly. And what I really want to focus on is, well, what does Bethesda actually do? What have they actually made? Because,
question.
friends, when you think about Bethesda or Bethesda Softworks as a name, you're either thinking about them as a publisher or you're seeing them as a developer through the lens of IPs that they acquired after they had already become quite successful on their own. The case that I'm going to advance is this. Bethesda's almost universal appeal that they had cultivated with titles like Oblivion, Fallout 3, Skyrim, the re-release of Skyrim, the second re-release of Skyrim, Skyrim for Alexa, Skyrim on your phone, Skyrim in your dreams, Skyrim haunting your nightmares.
Skyrim for your toaster? You forgot about that one.
You forgot Skyrim VR?
Yes.
Did that come out?
Yes, that is true. My argument is going to be that they maybe haven't earned that sterling reputation despite releasing a couple really commendable games for the times in which they saw release. And that Bethesda as a company overall has had a history that at best could be described as mixed and at worst could be described as a little shady and antagonistic.
Oh yeah.
So I guess the best place to start before we dig into like a history and presenting like information would just be explaining our personal histories with Bethesda or their products. So guys, what's your experience with Bethesda and their wide range of IPs that they swear they love?
Mate, feel free to go first.
Oh yeah, sure, I'll go first. Well, I don't know, I think the most of their games I've played is Fallout, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Elder Scrolls, duh. And I think that's pretty much it of their games. Like what else have they made?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm trying
Fallout,
to think too.
You mean Fallout 3 and Fallout 4? Because we're going to get into this. Those are the only two Fallout titles that Bethesda actually made.
Oh yeah. I didn't mean the previous ones or New Vegas, which is actually good.
Yeah,
New Vegas is the best one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same goes for me. I can only think about Fallout and Elder Scrolls. I mean, I heard that they were also involved with the Doom reboot. I'm not sure if they actually made it or just published it, though.
They just published it.
Okay, great. What about Dishonored? They also just published it, right?
That is correct. Dishonored was made by Arcane Studios, who are currently working on the extremely interesting-looking Deathloop.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And for my part, I actually grew up, so to speak, like my early adolescence was spent with actual Bethesda developed games. I want to say Fallout 3 was the first pseudo open world RPG I really got into, despite hating post-apocalyptic fiction and settings in general. There's just something I found really compelling about it. Despite the fact that Fallout 3 kind of runs like a garbage truck that somebody lit on fire, um,
Mm.
the world and honestly the writing for the time, for like a console RPG at the time, I thought were pretty good, pretty engaging. Um, and I must have put God around 200 hours into Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
So, just one small digression. I've just opened up the Wikipedia list of
Mm-hmm.
Bethesda Softworks video games, and then you actually have a column that says developers. So you can have either Bethesda as a developer or somebody else. I can genuinely tell you, I do not recognize the single freaking name of a video
Yeah.
game that Bethesda made.
So just
Uh, there's
just
also Bethesda Game
game
Studios.
studios.
Ah,
Yeah.
Yes.
okay.
And game studios made basically what you would expect. Elder Scrolls titles starting with Morrowind in 2002, virtually all of the Fallout products since 2008 except New Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
including, of course, mobile game Fallout Shelter and the smash hit Fallout 76, which had absolutely no issues, no qualms, no outrage surrounding it whatsoever. Um, and a drag racing game released in 2004 for the
What?
PlayStation. Yeah, IHRA Professional Drag Racing
A
2005.
drag. I heard drug racing.
No, they that game was released before they announced their partnership with Viper.
Ah, okay.
So no, Bethesda themselves as a development house, at least since the year 2000, made quite a few very big open world action. Can we call them action RPGs given the way Bethesda combat tends to work, or would just RPGs be?
RPGs.
Yeah,
Yeah. Fuck it. RPGs.
VATS RPGs.
Let's not
Um,
be too anal about it. Too many people are too anal about, genres and stuff.
yeah, they've made a few like pretty big open world RPGs.
Yeah.
And they've made, well, I see Skyrim listed here no fewer than 3 times.
Wow.
That's incorrect. There needs to be more than 3 times.
Well, no,
I
they
agree.
recognize 3 completely distinct products: the base release, Skyrim Special Edition, and Skyrim VR.
Oh, like
Um,
Ugh.
I see here 3 also, but it says Skyrim Microsoft Windows, Skyrim PlayStation 3, Skyrim Xbox 360.
oh, right, no, there were the 3 different versions of the base product, too.
Jesus.
But my point is, Bethesda themselves have made very sizable games, but they have not made, since 2000, very many games. They've made quite a few mobile or spin off titles that tend to be, you know,
You know.
simple, kind of exploitative. I've heard that for like a free to play like mobile game, Fallout Shelter isn't bad. Take
Yeah.
that for what you will.
Yeah, I tried it out. It's actually quite good, but it has, that same old mechanic. Like, if you want to play a bit more and have a bit more things to do, give us money.
It incentivizes the use of microtransactions.
Yeah.
Or,
Have they also made Elder Scrolls Blades for the
oh
phone?
yeah,
Yeah, because
hmm
I liked it at the start, but then every single move I made that required me to pay with a credit card, and I was
yep.
like, yet.
From what I've heard, Elder Scrolls Blades is actually one of the most egregious exploitative games of its type that
Oh
like a
yeah.
big studio has released.
Mm.
And I've heard also you can attest to this, Tina. It's very simple.
Oh yeah,
Aside,
it's really bland and really simple.
excellent, just like Midwestern food. Um, So, yeah, Bethesda themselves have made games that you are probably familiar with. And they've probably made at least one game, considering our audience, that you've played. And
Probably.
odds are unlikely that you didn't enjoy at least one of these. I like Fallout 3. I think Fallout 4 is solid for what it is. I really like Oblivion. And of course, I've played Skyrim twice. I'm pretty sure everybody has. Um,
I wish it was only
but
twice.
but Bethesda themselves haven't made very many games. There, I would say you're more familiar probably with the plethora of titles and franchises that they've published as
Mm-hmm.
Bethesda Softworks, including such hard-hitting, phenomenal IPs as the modern Wolfenstein titles,
Oh yeah.
the interesting Japanese survival horror duology, The Evil Within,
Mm-hmm.
Arcane Studios' entire output, including both all three Dishonored titles, and the upcoming Deathloop, the Prey reboot.
Wait, Dishonored
Let me
has three
see.
titles?
Yes, Dishonored, Dishonored 2, and then the standalone spin-off from Dishonored 2, I want to say Death of the Outsider,
Yep.
Ah, okay.
which is phenomenal for the record. I've not played anything beyond like the first few chapters of the first Dishonored, but a friend of mine who is really, really passionate about the series like walked me through
Mm-hmm.
the entire I guess trilogy. And I have to say, second game has some really serious rough spots, but Jesus Christ, can Arcane put together a really impressive and immersive product.
You know what really bothers me? Like,
Mm.
yes, they have not developed it, they just published the game, but they make sure to put their name so big at the
Mm-hmm.
starting like screen of the games that people just associate Bethesda with all of those games.
Yeah, like
They're the
they
publisher.
published the new Doom series, but hey, wait, they've also published a licensed Pirates of the Caribbean game in the mid 2000s.
Great. And also
I
Home
think
Alone, I think, on the Atari or something.
I'm not seeing that. I am seeing Wayne Gretzky hockey.
Wait, let me see.
They
Home
made
Alone, yes.
they published a couple Terminator games. They published Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth, which people think is all right. Jesus Christ!
There is Home Alone for the NES, October 1st, 1991. They actually developed that one. Also, a Where's Waldo game for some reason.
Hold on a minute. Like, I know we're digressing a lot because we're just digging through this company's history. Let's focus on Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth for a second, because fittingly for its genre and themes, this title was created by like this convalescence, or not convalescence. This kind of collaboration between various dark and eldritch powers, published jointly by Bethesda and Ubisoft, with support from 2K Games.
Okay, everyone got in on that one.
Yeah, like Jesus Christ.
How many companies do you have to publish that? Jesus.
As far as the really, really awful publishers go, the only ones that we're missing there are ActiBliz and EA.
Yeah.
And Bethesda probably won't work with EA or around EA for reasons we'll get into momentarily. But yeah, Bethesda has more likely published games you've heard of than actually developed them.
Yep.
As far as I'm aware, the Elder Scrolls series is completely their own product. With a couple exceptions, like a branch studio handled Elder Scrolls Online, for instance, and things like that.
Yeah,
but that is their.
Like,
go ahead.
It was kind of done by ZeniMax, but like ZeniMax and Bethesda are owned by the same company. So
Yeah, that's what I said. It was like a little branch studio, I think, largely made up of Bethesda employees, ZeniMax Online Studios or something like that. But the idea is they did almost everything related to the Elder Scrolls series that has been released. Period. Fallout, they actually inherited from, who was it originally? Interplay?
yeah, Interplay.
Interplay,
They bought it from Interplay. They bought all the rights to Fallout from Interplay.
After the release of, I want to say, Fallout Tactics.
I think so.
Because the first two Fallout games that really established the setting, the tone, and the general ethos of Fallout as a franchise, made by completely different people. Bethesda had nothing to do with that. The Fallout title, which, as far as I'm aware, has received the most universal acclaim from critics and players alike following the acquisition of the franchise, Fallout New Vegas, was developed by our good friends over at Obsidian Entertainment. And, well, not Bethesda personnel. And The fact that Obsidian worked on it instead of Bethesda's folks is kind of evident because that game has a much greater emphasis on storytelling and character development and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It is, in my opinion, the best Fallout product I've ever set hands
Oh yeah.
on. Bethesda also did not publish or develop, of course, the original Wolfenstein titles or the original Doom titles. Um, so really, they occupy this weird space in the gaming industry, right? Where people hear Bethesda and they think of them as a developer because they do work in that capacity to some extent.
Yep.
But really, they're anymore more a publisher than anything else. And they act like one.
Yeah.
Bethesda has done some shady things. They've done some kind of scummy things in regards to designing products and the ways in which they wish their audiences to engage with them. And more than anything else, this is kind of what I want to focus on. They have adopted an ethos towards game development that is almost laughably indolent, lazy. And it's finally starting to kind of rein them in. Yeah? So, really quickly, because Tina, you found this for us, this Polygon article.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you give us a rundown of Bethesda's legal history? Because as it happens, the friendly, like self-effacing, affable developers of such hits as Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Blades and Elder Scrolls 6 eventually, have had a really sordid past in the courts, and especially regarding aggressive protection of copyright, overly aggressive.
Yeah, basically, I was quite surprised about this. Well, not about this article, but about how many legal issues Bethesda had regarding words. Normal words people use in your average life. I mean, so like I want to mention three of them because they are absolutely ridiculous. Let's see. The latest one was in 2017. There was this Kickstarter project called Pray for the Gods, and that actually looked quite nice. Kind of had a bit of a Shadow of the Colossus vibe to it. And Bethesda kind of threatened them because they publish the game series Prey, and they did not want them to be confused. So they basically forced them to change the name or face the lawsuit because apparently they're not allowed to use the word prey. Just to make it clear, they do not own the rights to the word prey, but when a Kickstarter project gets threatened by a big name like Bethesda, they kind of don't really have much of a choice.
And to be clear, the types of legal claims they're making, which we've seen other companies do before, right? Like King with Saga, for instance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is medium specific. So, and this is not meant to be a defense, just clarification for our audience. Bethesda is not asserting that they have the sole right to use the word prey or the word scrolls, which we'll get into in a minute, exclusively in any form, in any context. But rather they are claiming that they reserve the exclusive right to use those words in the marketing or nomenclature of video games.
Yep. So the next one that I want to mention is a video game made by a YouTuber called Captain Sparkles. You know that for some reason YouTubers like making those really small 2D video games. And this one is called Fortress Fallout. Well, it was called Fortress Fallout because Bethesda's legal department was like, nah, you gotta rename that. You cannot use the word Fallout. And Captain Sparkles kind of had to, give up because his lawyers said that, and I quote, Bethesda is a notoriously litigious company. And they make sure to show everyone that they have a lot of money and a lot of resources, and they're not gonna stop until they destroy you. So since a YouTuber, like
Mm-hmm.
your average YouTuber, even bigger names don't have that much money, at least not anymore because of all the ad changes and whatever. So
Yep.
yeah, most of them just cannot fight it.
And I will
And
say,
yeah.
for our audience, I'm looking at a screenshot of this game right now. Um, it looks very by the numbers, looks like a cheap little physics battler where like you use catapults to fling
Hmm.
objects at like your opponent's castle and vice versa. Um, this looks, well, I don't know. I imagine it is very cheap, right?
Hmm.
Very
Yeah.
simple. Can you imagine somebody at Bethesda seeing this and be like, "Wait, Fallout? They're gonna confuse this with our multi-million-dollar
Yeah, of
RPG."
course.
Oh
They're
no!
gonna think it's the same.
Either that, or oh god, oh no, they're onto us. They know what direction we're taking the series. We've got to act
Oh
fast.
god. Yeah.
But
And oh, go ahead.
like, I'm also not trying to defend them because all of that is bullshit. But sort of, I think the way they're thinking is, um, if anyone would think this is one of our games, this is kind of cheaply made, and they'll think
Mm-hmm.
we made this crap, even though the expensive games they made are kind of crap due to all the fucking bugs. I think anyone who plays the game experiences no bugs will immediately know it's not from Bethesda.
I was about to
Yeah.
say, like, their legal argument is, "Hey, wait a minute. This isn't our cheaply made exploitative mobile experience."
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I can kind of see it for the word Fallout because it's not, your everyday used word. Usually, when you say use the word Fallout, it's either in a time of extreme crisis, which thankfully we don't have right now, or at least not that kind, or in the term of the Fallout games, right? So I can kind of see the reasoning behind that, but I,
They're
the
they're
word prey, like I would not associate it with the Prey the game. I mean, Prey is a very common word.
No, and just for what I feel we ought to do this. I've done a little bit of research into Pray for the Gods. It looks like a very interesting, beautifully crafted title
Mm-hmm.
that kind of fuses elements of Shadow of the Colossus and very light survival elements.
Yeah.
If that sounds like something any of you guys would be interested in, please go check it out and support the developers who really put a lot of love and care into this project, clearly.
Yeah. And
Um,
the third naming issue with Bethesda that is a pretty big one, and I'm sure everyone's heard about it. And but that one was versus Mojang, everyone's beloved
yep.
creator of Minecraft. So since Minecraft took off so nicely, they decided to get their hands dirty and make another game, which they called Scrolls. What was it? Was the card-based tactical fighter kind of game, kind of like the Riot's game, what's it called, Team Fight Tactics, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen this type of like competitive deck
Yeah.
building game
Yeah.
before, and if you've been on Steam and just spent time scrolling their store, you've definitely been recommended titles like this. It's kind of a fusion of what appears to be a grid-based like tactical RPG
Yeah.
and a game like Hearthstone.
Yeah. And so I love the way that the Mojang chief wanted to settle the dispute, and that was via Quake 3 tournament. Of course, Bethesda said, fuck no. Apparently,
Because they
they
knew they'd
settled it
lose.
somehow privately. They didn't go to court in the end. And as far as we know, Mojang was allowed to keep the name, but they did end up renaming it, and now it's called Color's Bane, and it's free to play for everyone that wants to check it out.
I mean, I can see why Bethesda didn't want to accept that challenge because, like, as soon as their character loaded into like the Quake 3 arena, they would just fall straight through the floor and that would be it.
Maybe they just didn't want to set a legal precedent, just trial by Quake.
Man, that'd be the best.
Yeah, it would.
Like people under investigation for financial crimes have to like take on the Crown esports team.
Mm.
No, that would be awesome. Like a more humane modernized version of trial by combat. I love it. I love it. Here's the thing. Again, this is one of those situations, like several of the legal disputes we could cover today, where I don't particularly like either party.
Yeah.
Um, Bethesda are problematic, obviously, and I will say, just for the record, the like Mojang chief and like former lead developer on Minecraft has espoused some really horrible, truly abominable ideas. Um, his politics are deplorable to me in many ways, and so there's no good guy here, but there is
Yeah.
somebody who's in the right. Mojang are in the right.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't going to look at this and be like, oh, scrolls, like the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, of course.
That's like saying every game that incorporates firearms is ripping off COD,
Yeah.
which people
There's
have done before.
Yeah, but there's also the thing where, like, if I play a game and I'm like, is this connected to Elder Scrolls? And I'll just, people do a quick Google and oh, it's not. Of course,
Yeah.
it's fucking not. But also, you know why they sort of came to an agreement with Mojang?
Hmm.
Because Mojang is not a small company that they can just push around,
Yep.
because they could actually fight back.
Yeah.
That's why, like, most of their lawsuits are bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
they know they can't win. If anyone has the time and money to actually go against them, they're gonna lose or they're gonna go bankrupt.
Yeah.
Right.
But they don't care, because for most of the smaller ones, the smaller developers, it's just gonna be easier to rename the game,
Yeah, of course.
which is
And
absolute bullshit.
Mm.
they're dealing with like we're dealing with a company, a really influential company, mind you, that has engaged in what amounts to copyright trolling,
Yeah.
like on a professional scale.
Mm-hmm. They don't have the copyright, but yeah, you cannot fight them because they have a stronger legal team. So suck it.
More money, just more money. Not even a stronger legal team, just
Yeah.
more money.
Another one of the ridiculous things revolving Bethesda was in 2012 against a Fallout fan. So there was a guy that was
Yep.
genuinely so in love with Fallout that he decided to make some fan art of it. And with the fan art, he decorated his own room. What he did afterwards is he took digital versions online, wasn't receiving any money for it. It was there so that people can see it. Bethesda sent a cease and desist letter, and of course he, took everything down. But since he was a law student, he made sure to send them a reply back, completely tearing apart their legal arguments and saying, like, you could have at least sent me a friendly letter first.
And I would have complied.
Yeah.
Right. So first off, kudos to that guy. Kudos to Mr. Anderson,
Yeah.
because being a single student and like a really passionate fan, being willing to take on and deconstruct the arguments of this corporate conglomerate is just amazing in my eyes.
Yeah.
But secondly, this is the kind of thing that we see Nintendo do all the time, right?
Oh,
With
yeah.
like free fan projects. Like,
Yeah.
the notion here, and you see this more commonly in and around, I want to say, like the environment of Japanese development and publication houses,
Mm-hmm.
but that Bethesda is adopting, is that profit obviously matters,
I mean,
but that these corporate entities, these developers, these publishers really, these IP rights holders, reserve the exclusive legal right to present, interpret, and craft products related to that IP in the wider world. In other words, it doesn't matter if you intend to make money from this or not. You created a product which we do not intend to exist, and therefore it shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
If there are to be Fallout fan posters or Fallout posters or glossy wall art or what have you, we're going to create it as we see fit. You cannot contribute to this universe in such a way.
It's absolutely ridiculous, because if the guy was making money off of it, then I would understand.
Of course.
It was just an appreciation of their game.
Yes, absolutely. And the idea behind this kind of the first thing that comes to mind is that nasty little disclaimer that Blizzard included in Warcraft 3 Refunded, stating that they own the exclusive rights, like, well in advance,
Oh yeah.
to any, like, custom games or maps or modes created with their assets, right? Like
Yeah.
in
Yep.
the mod engine. They're saying, we're not going to make money from this now, but we reserve the exclusive right to make money from this kind of thing in the future, so please don't.
Yeah, like if you even think of making another Dota and making it so popular, it's gonna be ours. So thank you for that in advance.
This is really sad to me to see this one case in particular, and I'm sorry we're taking so much time here, but it's because you've got someone really passionate about this property who's really busy. They're a law student, and believe me, I've been very, very close to, like, many full-time law students. You cannot believe how hard those people work. And well, they're taking the time out to contribute to a fandom that they
Yeah.
love. A fandom now. They're not doing this for Bethesda, they're doing it for the fan community. And
Yeah.
Bethesda, if you listen to their official rhetoric, adores and relies on their fandom,
Oh yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
exclusively. The
I mean,
issue is they're taking actions completely without merit, antagonistic toward that
yeah.
fandom. And that's very sad to see.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I was Bethesda and I actually stood behind my words when I said that, fandom is really important to me, what I would do in this case is be like, okay, this guy is distributing fan art of our property, but hey, this is not bad. And also, it would kind of, spread a good word if we
Mm-hmm.
supported a fan that in his
Yes.
free time is showing appreciation for our game. Like, if they, for example, retweeted his stuff, or maybe even be like, hey, we're gonna buy a few of your posters or something like that, I think that fandom would go
Yeah.
crazy about it. So
Like if it were me, if it were like my IP, my project, I would, like, politely ask for one of the paper or posters to hang in my office,
yeah.
and I would send him a bunch of, like, our merch. Like, I don't know, maybe a really nice canvas bag. Oh shit. Like, a nice bottle of Nuka Dark Rum. No, can't do that either. A power armor helmet. Oh fuck. We'll get into that later on. But
Yeah.
yeah, do what you can to not just reward engagement, that sounds a little condescending, but, like, show your fans, the people who are passionate about your products, that you're passionate about them and theirs, and that you appreciate them being there to do more than just pay for your product, but
Mm-hmm.
also to bring it to life in the world around them. Fandom's one of the most brilliant, most exciting, and most important elements in this kind of world of fiction creation, you know?
Right.
No, fuck them. All we want is their money, and they can fuck off then.
Okay, EA. Oh,
So yeah.
sorry, I'm seeing here we may want to discuss this, or sorry, I would like your take on this, Tina. They sued Interplay!
Yeah, that is actually what I was gonna go in right now. So far we've been discussing, mostly lawsuits and shit regarding smaller players, but they sued Interplay after buying their franchise.
Less than 2 years after!
Yes. So basically, in 2007, as we all know, all of the Fallout copyrights went from Interplay to Bethesda,
Yes.
except a small deal that said that Interplay can still create a Fallout MMO, which they were planning on doing if they
Mm-hmm.
can meet certain criteria. They announced it, it was in production, and then Bethesda was like, nope, lawsuit. And yeah, because the company was like, you don't have enough funding for this MMO, and we don't want it to go in the market at the same time as our Fallout 3. So you know what, we're gonna sue you. And
Mm-hmm.
that happened in 2009, and it took a lot of years to sort that out, 3 years in total. And in the end, Bethesda actually gave money to Interplay, about 2 million, which is honestly pocket change in game development. at least in a context of a big name such as Bethesda. And Interplay agreed not to release the MMO.
Yep.
But like this, like I don't know how well made they had like the stuff for the MMO already when Bethesda said this doesn't like meet the agreed criteria. But if it actually didn't, then this one might actually be a reasonable lawsuit for once in like their history. Because
Yeah, but
it is like it is this is genuinely a Fallout game. So if this was bad, then this probably would drive people away from other Fallout games. So I this one maybe they were in the right.
Yeah,
Like I
no,
said,
this
I
one
don't know
this one
the
is
exact
legally
specifics.
ambiguous. You're right.
yeah, but
But it is funny.
yeah,
It's
and
funny for
also,
two reasons.
well,
Go ahead.
for me, the funny thing is you already purchased all of the Fallout related copyrights. Why did you not make sure that any sort of potential MMO that Interplay was going to release also either has enough funding, since it is your name now, and you can just let them finish it as they started it anyways, and put your name behind it as one of the funding
Publishers.
publishers. Yeah, exactly. So firstly they could have done that, but secondly, I don't know, just letting them work on it for 2 more years and then be like, nope, lawsuit.
Well, you see, Tina, like Bethesda clearly cares very deeply about like the Fallout MMO experience, and they wanted to take almost a further 10 years to ensure that they really got it right when they released something like that to the public.
They
You
wanted to
know?
properly release a piece of crap, not rush a release of a
Yeah,
piece
no,
of crap.
they really wanted to let that one simmer for a while.
Mm.
And no, so I find it, Mate, you're absolutely right. They do have some ambiguous legal ground to stand on here, maybe as unethical as it is.
Yeah.
But um they take almost another decade, and the product they ultimately release as an MMO, I think, is far worse than anything Interplay
yeah.
could have created. Properly funded or no. Fallout 76. Jesus, like BioWare, we might have to split this one up into 2 episodes. One just focusing on Bethesda's history and like kind of shady legal past, and then maybe one episode focusing on Fallout 76 and their more recent projects, yeah?
Oh, I was thinking
Um,
more like all the bad things they did in one episode, and in the other, all the worst things they did.
yeah, I
I
was
was
gonna
about to
say,
say,
we
if we
have like,
released an episode on all the good things they did, we'd be here for like 45 seconds. Then, all right,
yeah.
thank you. We'll see you next time.
No, but like
That was a quickie.
one more thing about the interplay lawsuit.
Mhm.
Like you said, Seth, 2 million is a pocket change in game dev world. So if Interplay had a leg to stand on, they probably would not agree to 2 million
Yeah.
after 3 years.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they kind of were making a crappy game, which might mean that the 2 million that Bethesda gave them, they actually bought code for the MMO from them, and that's where Fallout 76 came from.
Oh, right. It was an underfunded, barely started RPG from 2007.
Yep.
It all makes sense now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, no, they added one thing. They made sure to reskin the dragons from Skyrim and put them in there.
of course.
Really,
course.
It's
It's
an actual thing they did.
But also, I'm guessing Interplay didn't have time to put in any NPCs, and that's why Fallout 76 didn't have any.
Wow.
Like, who goes, I'm gonna make an MMO, but let's take away all the fun things that MMO has, like NPC fucking interactions.
You know
Who
the
the
most
fuck needs
incredible
that?
thing about this to me? Obviously, they were different teams. We're gonna have to talk about Fallout 76, I think, in its own episode because there's just too much there.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, yeah.
guys, the same publisher oversaw development of ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, which was a little rough at launch, but broadly is considered to be of pretty high quality.
Oh yeah.
People
Yeah.
like the game. People like the business model that isn't for something of that nature ridiculously exploitative in its current incarnation. People like the world and the lore and all this. I play ESO very sporadically, and yeah, it's okay. Fine. You want some more Elder Scrolls world building and exploration? There you go. How the fuck do you go from that to this?
Yup.
How do you
Easy.
decide our second MMO is going to take all the lessons we learned from the first and just throw them in the garbage?
Easy, because they didn't make ESO. They had another company do it right.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
they had a branch. Again, it was ZeniMax Online. I think it was a lot of Bethesda employees who got, like, kind of moved over, transferred to
Yeah,
the branch
apparently all
startup.
the good ones.
Yeah, clearly. Meanwhile, Bethesda probably spent a good 3 months trying to communicate to their internal development team that no, we're serious. You're not having to make Skyrim again.
We promise no more Skyrim for this year.
They had to tell like the two of the artists to take the guard uniforms off. They were finally able to coax Dave out of the closet where he had just been rocking back and forth, muttering to himself in the dragon tongue. Like,
Fusroda, Fusroda, Fusroda.
like they, it was a healing experience for the
Yep.
dev team.
Guys, hear me out. Skyrim on Android.
Yeah, I already see him jumping out of the window. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Maybe Skyrim is like the one true game, and all other games merely reflect facets of its nature.
Oh god.
Like they are avatars of Skyrim.
Uh, um, yeah, and the last one I think we should probably cover is the one about Gridiron or Gridiron.
Gridiron.
Is it
Gridiron.
Gridiron? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to take over that one?
No. I was just going to say gridiron is like a term popularly used to describe football, American
Right.
football.
So that was the first ever game that Bethesda was actually making.
Yeah.
It was made, well, supposed to be made for Amiga and Atari. It was just like some simple football simulation, kind of games. But since Electronic Arts kind of wanted on the whole genre and signed Bethesda, they kind of, wanted to have all the rights on it.
Mm-hmm.
So they really wanted to get in on the whole thing, so they shelved Bethesda's game and went ahead to develop their own game. And Bethesda was like, "Wait a minute, that's our game. We did that." And they accused EA of just like cooking up the entire deal with them to get the code.
Well, that sounds like EA, all right.
Like again, I don't like EA. I don't like Bethesda.
This is bad meets evil.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The case was resolved out of court, but yeah, so we don't really know what happened. I have not found any information around that, but that was like, wait, when was that? 1988. So yeah.
So
Bethesda going back in their legal bullshit since 1988.
Presumably, the case was resolved sometime around 1995 with like I don't know, in a round or two of Unreal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So apparently after that, Bethesda was founded actually on the back of the Gridiron's entire shenanigans, and it was founded by Christopher Weaver. Yeah, is that the name?
Yeah.
Right, and afterwards he also founded ZeniMax Media, another name that we mentioned already. He ended up being forced out in 2002, responded with a lawsuit because they didn't pay him out. ZeniMax countersued because apparently Weaver had access to some private emails of employees or something like that. The case was settled out of court again. He's still one of the bigger stakeholders, but he was like, I'm never going back into game publishing because it's like a prison sentence. So
So
interesting to compare, something that should be fun and video games and shit to prison.
also, and I know there are challenges for them too, but when you're running the studio,
Yeah.
but no, notice too, prior to that, like back half of the 2000s, when they really started receiving just obscene amounts of money from major products released across multiple platforms, Bethesda seemed far more willing to settle privately or out
Yeah.
of court on amicable terms.
Oh, I wonder why. Is it because of money?
Yup.
Well, yeah, it's because they can't, I don't know, hire the Disney legal hive mind to defend them
Oh
uh,
god.
prior to that point.
Imagine if Disney bought Fallout.
Well, no, imagine, like, trying to argue in court against Disney. I'm pretty sure that, like, just moments before the judge enters the chambers, like, the lights start flickering, bells ring out in the distance,
Or
like,
just
there's
a black hole opens up suddenly.
ghostly disembodied chanting fills the courtroom, and then like all goes dark for a couple seconds. When the lights raise, your defense counsel is just gone. They were never there.
No,
It's
I'm
like
assuming
Kafka.
I'm assuming if Disney bought Fallout, they'd like open a theme park, and
Oh my god.
they'd probably do it somewhere in Chernobyl, so they have to do at the least amount of work
Oh
by
Man,
yeah.
setting it up.
we already got a Fallout themed park over here. It was called Action Park. Are you familiar?
No.
Nope.
It started as a ski resort that just wanted to add some water slides and the like for the off season, and grew into like a full-fledged, like really high octane, like adrenaline focused, not exactly a theme park. It was more of an amusement park. There wasn't much in the way of theming.
Hmm.
And Action Park was notorious for its decades of operation for the ridiculous frequency with which people were injured on its rides,
Wow.
to the point where it was frequently known colloquially as either Traction Park or Class Action Park.
That's a good one.
Nice.
Why not Bethesda Park?
Well,
Wow.
no, see, the rides were dangerous, but they did work.
But like, imagine if Disney did open a theme park in Chernobyl. Like, it's exactly like Disneyland, except the 6-foot mouse is real.
Oh my god. Okay.
And the castle, instead of a castle, we just have something that used to be a grocery store like 50, 60 years ago.
Wow. You guys.
Look, okay, Disney really had to focus on budget parks after the 1980s.
Mm.
Let me see. Hold on, really quickly. Let me find you just one quick little action park story before we dive back into Bethesda. Let's see. All right. Well, it doesn't help that apparently everybody there was drunk all the time,
The workers?
and guests alike. They had really relaxed enforcement of drinking age, so
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
everybody was drunk. Let's see. I've got in a 7-year period at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 people died there.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
Let me see.
It might have been one of those truth or dare kind of situations where people would like, okay, I dare you to go on this ride. It's usually the game that you play while you're drunk, so it kind of fits.
Yeah, but like the impressive part is not that 6 people died there. It's the fact that 6 people over, what did you say, Brady? 7 years died
Yes.
there, and they didn't get closed down.
Right.
Like, they either shelled out a shit ton of money to pay to the victims' families, or they had one hell of a legal team.
And they did not. I'm pretty sure. Get this. Hold on, really quickly. Let me read you the description of just one typical water attraction: the Aqua Scoot, with a K, Scoot. Invented by Ken Bailey in the early 1980s. I do not know if this is true. Or, sorry, if this is the ride, rather. I know it's one ride. I think this might be the one. Ken Bailey, if he's the guy I'm thinking of, was actually just like either a janitor or like a maintenance man who invented this ride.
No.
Invented by Bailey in the early 1980s, riders would carry a hard, solid plastic sled up to the top of the ride, go down a slide consisting of rollers akin to those found in factories, warehouses, or assembly lines, and end up in a pool that in most areas was no deeper than a puddle. The idea of the ride was to, once the sled hit the water, skip across the water like a stone. In order to do this, the rider had to be in a certain position, leaned back. If the rider was not in this position, the sled would sink into the water as soon as it hit the pool, flinging the rider off head first, which often resulted in head injuries. Other times, riders would be leaving the pool only to have others crash into them as they were riding. This ride consisted of parallel slides originally. At some point in the mid 80s, a third slide was added. Each was 30 feet or just over 9 meters long. The slides were removed when IntraWest took over the resort in 1998. Yeah, that was
Wow.
one
That was a
pretty
roller coaster
standard
of a description.
Wait,
Yeah,
what did you
basically-
say it's called?
Aqua Scoot.
It's more like Aqua Yeet.
Aqua Shoot yo ass into other riders. No, it was basically somebody just riding a garbage can lid down industrial equipment
Wow.
into a puddle.
Nice.
What could go wrong? Everything. So many things.
Man,
That kinda
maybe
sounds-
we need
That kind
Go
of
ahead.
sounds like an amusement park in Croatia.
to...
Like, in the olden days, though, we have great things now.
We need to stream, like, I don't know, amusement park or roller coaster tycoon together at some point in
Alright.
the future.
You know that we're just gonna kill everyone, right?
That's the
Well-
point, Seth.
Yeah, but Action Park made money, we can too.
Right.
Anyway, Bethesda. Right, sorry. What a tangent.
Yeah, it kind of fits.
So they've had a really complex legal history, and one where, based on our evaluations, they were only potentially in the right in maybe 2 of those cases?
Yeah.
3, maybe
3,
if you
yeah.
count the ousted studio head.
Yeah.
There's not enough information there for us to tell. But the point is, most of their modern lawsuits, or big name lawsuits, have been superfluous, or at the very least, completely unethical.
Yeah.
The question is then, they haven't made a whole lot. They're kind of scummy as a company. Well, are the products that they have made enough in your eyes to, like, maybe not excuse this behavior, but still find Bethesda, because this is the public perception now, not as bad as other major publishers? I would say no.
Yeah, I would agree. But
I
the problem
guess.
is that people just don't look that deep into Bethesda because they just want
Right.
a new Elder Scrolls finally.
Which they're not going to get for ages.
Oh yeah, because all they had to do, all they had for the announcement was like a pan over some mountains in Elder Scrolls 6,
Yeah, they basically just had to add I after the V, and that's it.
and just turn RTX on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that
And it's-
I
Yeah.
in the world of the Elder Scrolls is pronounced yeah.
But like they didn't even name the game yet, like
No.
Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. But we can all assume it's gonna be Skyrim 2 Electric Boogaloo.
There's also Starfield, a sci-fi based RPG that probably is not going to be better than the Outer Worlds, that was announced roughly 45 years ago at this point.
What?
Joke.
Okay.
Joke. And that we've seen absolutely nothing from, and which is supposed to precede the Elder Scrolls 6. So,
Yeah.
Bethesda, my big issue with them, and we can talk about this far, far more in the Fallout 76 episode that we very likely will have to produce, is their internal ethos towards development, from what I have learned, is exceedingly lazy.
Yep.
They have one engine, which they do modify, but have not significantly overhauled and have not iterated upon or moved on from since the days of, like, Morrowind. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Like, the same basic toolkit is running, like, say, Skyrim, of course, that ran Morrowind. So if you're wondering why, or looking back, you wonder why a lot of the character interactions, facial expressions, the feel and weight of combat in Skyrim was just a little off. It's because at its core, it's a game like 15 plus years older than it is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not on. I don't think it's on the same exact engine. Uh,
It's
I
it's on the
think that.
same base set of tools, I want to say.
Well, yeah, but like the engine is improved upon. That's why there's a fan project, like porting Morrowind and Oblivion to the Skyrim engine.
Okay, okay.
But
Eh.
still, I think it's like the base engine is the same.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Yes, Gamebryo.
yeah, that's the one.
Which was created in 1997.
Uh,
Not too much longer before I was born. So yeah, the core of Bethesda's games is old. It's very, very, very old.
yeah, but the Bethesda's version of the Gamebryo engine is actually called the Creation engine.
Creation, yes.
Very original.
And as I understand it, it has not been significantly overhauled since the release of Skyrim in 2011. And they refuse to move on from Gamebryo as like their the base of their development process for future titles, meaning a lot of the issues we saw, both with performance and with the overall feel and implementation of systems in earlier Bethesda titles, is unlikely to improve significantly in the future. Also,
Mm.
due to the fact that, and I'm not saying the developers actually making decisions and creating things on the floor, right? But a lot of the decisions made by management seem to reflect a general lack of concern for improvement in or significant iteration on this very rote formula they have for making games. If it's released and buggy as all hell, or it feels like a game kind of clunky and unpolished that would have come out 20 years ago, so be it, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That was largely the ethos that informed projects like Fallout 76. Yeah, we know it's gonna be bad at launch, but hey, you guys will fix it, and we'll do some stuff too.
We know it's gonna be bad at launch, but don't worry, it's not gonna get any better.
Every time we try to fix something, we'll just end up breaking something else, so good luck. Oh yeah, there was also the issue they had with again, antagonism towards fans. They like banned somebody who had collected X amount of like goods in Fallout 76 ostensibly for cheating just because he had played that much of the game. You know it's bad when the developer of a game cannot believe that you actually spent that much time with it.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't.
No, God no. But all of this is to say my overall outlook on Bethesda as a company is one of general distrust.
Yeah.
I loved a couple of their games when I was younger, and I will still hold that Oblivion is, for a console RPG released in the time it was, absolutely phenomenal. Still holds up to this day in a lot of regards. It's a great sandbox to play around in.
Oblivion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think my favorite DLC for it was the Shivering Isles.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was great.
Yeah, like Sheogorath, and I think I played as much of that DLC as I did the rest of Oblivion.
Oh yeah,
Just
same here.
exploring everything. And
And
I accidentally I installed Oblivion with all the DLCs, and I was playing around, and all of a sudden there's a little island with a door, and I'm like, oh, let's go this way,
mm-hmm.
and then just bam, everything started, and I don't think you can even come out until you finish it all.
Mm.
A certain part of it, I don't think. I think you might have to defeat the gatekeeper first.
Oh yeah.
Which, if you just so happen to wander in at a low level, is really difficult. But the point is, that content is wonderfully well crafted. The anything to do with Gigalog aesthetically and narratively, I adored. Like, just give me an army of really angry train whistle golems, and we can have some fun. But it feels like Skyrim, Fallout 4, a lot of their projects since like the mid 2000s that they've developed themselves have been really serious steps backwards and clumsy attempts to like reach the same crowd with the same model as say EA's sports titles or 2K's titles. You know, they really want to reach a point where they can just pump um, easily exploitable audiences for as much recurrent user spending as they can.
Yep.
And like a well-crafted story-rich RPG is not the way to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so it feels like they're getting lazier and lazier, but also increasingly greedy as like an
Yeah.
organization.
Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
I
like,
honestly don't see, like, whenever I hear Bethesda or I see Bethesda's name flash up in a game, what I'm expecting now is a game that is half broken, will maybe be fixed in the next couple of games, but it's gonna require me to pay a lot of money if I want to play it properly.
or just mod the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Right. And also, isn't it interesting that they don't seem to complain when people go in and mod their games to fix them?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that's like what Skyrim felt to me, like a really nice bare bones game that you can make good by modding it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Oblivion had, oh, let me check. Oblivion DLCs. I
Was
think
it
it
three?
has.
It had a lot of very small DLCs, but two
Uh,
substantial story-based DLCs. Knights of the Nine, which was perfectly solid, and then the Incredible Shivering Isles expansion.
Yeah, yeah,
Skyrim had 2.5 substantial DLC
yeah,
packs.
yeah.
yeah, but they didn't feel like you said DLCs, whereas Oblivion still had like legit expansions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. I played through Dawnguard. I've not played through Dragonborn yet. I hear it's better, but Dawnguard was not great. It wasn't bad. It was just very
Eh.
bland.
Yeah, I know.
That's the best way I can describe a lot of Bethesda's output anymore. It's really bland.
It's there. That's it.
And you
Ye-
know what so much of this like reflection amounts to for me? Like let's really put ourselves mentally back in 2005, 2006, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you were playing on console or PC, less so on PC, but seeing RPGs that big, that detailed, and that kind of free form be available to like players in the case of Oblivion being released across so many platforms, more players than ever before. It was incredible, just like the accomplishment of that scope and scale, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that all of the quests are, you know, deliberately designed. They're not automatically generated like, say, many of Elder Scrolls 2 arenas or even many of Skyrim's were. But the appeal and kind of the merit of just making a big game with lots of big numbers has waned significantly since then. We've seen the release of titles like, you know, The Witcher 3, titles like, well, most of Obsidian's modern day output, the Pillars of Eternity games and what have you. Even some of the jankier titles out of studios like Spiders, right? There's lots of big RPGs now. And like Bethesda's output doesn't hold up so well in an environment where you need to be more than just like, oh, really, really big to be really, really impressive. Is that,
Yeah.
do you guys kind of feel the same way?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else you guys want to add?
No, I think if we add anything more, it's gonna be in the Fallout 76 episode. Fallout 69 episode.
Hey, that game is not nice. Fallout, Fallout Deep 6, maybe. I don't. What a game. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
That is gonna be fun. Um, no, so final thoughts for today, folks.
Final thoughts for me is I wish I could see Bethesda's name pop up a bit less.
Yeah, there we
Because
go.
definitely they don't inspire any sort of confidence in me.
Yeah, fuck Bethesda.
That okay.
Until they release a good game, then they're okay. Until the next one, they fuck up.
Yeah, I think Bethesda just, as a developer, seriously needs to orient itself towards investigating their extant formula for making RPGs, right?
Mm.
And consider what beyond just scope and scale can we do? What can we do to improve quality of life? What can we do to improve polish and performance? Jesus Christ. And also, how can we take this formula and adapt it so that the games themselves feel fresh and present new ideas, new storylines, and new opportunities to players? And how can we make it to where such a game ultimately feels like a fusion of design principles, especially for like world building and narrative, taken from the early 2000s and late 90s, married with to the incredible capabilities for like smooth polish and remarkably like haptically fulfilling visceral gameplay that current gen software is capable of attaining.
Mm-hmm.
And as a publisher, yeah, fuck them. They do really just need to get significantly less aggressive and litigious, and I think defend their IPs absolutely, but also just come to enjoy occupying the substantial headspace in so many mind palaces that they already do. Um, yeah. So,
Yeah,
hmm?
free tip for Bethesda: take half of your money that's in your legal fund that you pay the lawyers, and put all of it, just all of it, into quality assurance.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
There you go.
Yep.
at least half the money.
But
Like
you see,
I'm assuming it's a lot, just all into quality assurance.
transferring that money would require manipulation of like a keyboard, and that's really hard to do when you're constantly stuck in a T pose. Um, all joking aside, thank you all so much for joining us today for the first half in our, I shouldn't exactly say deep, like trenchant analysis, but rather just collective reflection on Bethesda Softworks and its associated web of companies. I know I certainly enjoyed this episode and hope you did as well. In the event that you would like to follow this podcast, please do, either by following us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or iTunes, or heading on over to our YouTube channel at The Overanalysts to subscribe for all episodes of this podcast uploaded in, well, there isn't a video component, but uploaded as YouTube videos, along with stream VODs from all three of us and a couple of interesting, hopefully very, very enjoyable new series that we have coming your way in the forthcoming weeks. Until
Exciting.
next time, thank you all so much for your time this afternoon, or evening, as the case may be. My name is Brady, or the Overanalyst, joined as always by my dear friends Martina, or Seth the Overwitch,
Good night, everyone.
and Mate, or Comrade Potato.
Bye bye.
Signing off. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day and the week ahead. Take care.